Hello, hello, hello. We want to welcome you to episode 13 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. I'm your host, Helen Blocker Adams, and I hope that you have been enjoying this series, Butterflies in Flight. And we have had, last week, we had two dynamic women that's a part of what we call our Consolidated Planning of America family. And part of this mission this month is to highlight and share with you, my family, my community, a group of women who have dealt with adversity like warriors, like sheroes, and are excelling in the insurance industry. And one of the things that I want you to be able to do as a viewer, as our family, is to realize, you can get through, you can press on, and you a lot of times people just need evidence of that. You need to see a real person who's not necessarily a movie star or on the TV. You may not even ever see this person unless you see this particular podcast. And so I have a woman here who is, I've known Sheila Woods. I have known Sheila for over probably 8, 9, probably 7, 8 years. And she has not only become, I mean, yes, she is a business partner, but she is my friend. This woman right
Yeah,
here, she is a real hero. And Sheila, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Reset to Reinvent.
it is truly my honor.
And Sheila, when you first of all, when I sent you the invite, you immediately responded, "Yes, I'll be glad to do it." And so when I told you or shared with you the name of the series, Butterflies in Flight, what came to your mind? What made you what came to your mind when I shared that theme with you? I've been asking everybody this question, and I'm getting different things from different people. So I wanted to throw it out there to you as well.
Right. Well, my father came to mind.
Oh,
Um, the year that he passed, we kept seeing butterflies right after he passed. I mean, they were everywhere. And so it became a theme for me and my granddaughters and for my sister to honor that. We all have butterflies all over the house. So when I saw that, I was like, Daddy, okay, I hear you, don't push. But yeah, that was how we got through it. We kept seeing them, and it was a symbol to us that life goes on, that we can press on, and we will be okay. And we are. We're 10 years later now, and we are. My father was the centerpiece of our family,
yeah.
so to lose him like that, it was just a bit devastating. But again, like I said, we pressed through. The girls are grown. Even got a married granddaughter now. I didn't tell you that.
Mm.
Uh, so
Wow.
uh, yeah, so life has kept life, and it brings good and it brings bad, but we keep pushing.
And so Sheila, over the years, excuse me, you've always been one of in our organization, Consolidated Planning of America. You have been one of our most, if not the most consistent writer, consistent, even when you were having some serious health challenges, and you still are, but you have come such a long way. And so I want you to talk about the word consistency and how important that is, not just in the insurance industry, but in life, in any type of business. That's what we call you, the queen of consistency. So there's a reason for that, and let's talk about that word consistency.
Well, consistency to me means to keep moving, to don't stop, don't take breaks. You keep moving, whether it's something that life throws you or whether it's a business, the type of business that we're in. It's not the easiest thing, but it's very, very doable. It's very rewarding. So consistency to me means I continued to do the same thing every day.
Mm.
Get up, say my prayers, talk to the Father, get my instructions, and help people. And that became who I was for the last 8, 9 years. I don't know to do anything else. Even when I was in rehab, that helped me because I love helping people. And so that was what I needed for me to keep going. I was like, I gotta talk to them. I gotta see the people. Even during COVID, it was everybody was talking about COVID and stopping and not going. No, my business turned up during that time because
Mhm.
I wanted to help people. And I remember going to the hospital one day with GERD when I figured that out. And the lady said, but the nurse was asking me how was I, and I told her, I said, no. She asked me what brought me in,
Mm.
and I said, I want to make certain that I don't have COVID because I don't want to give it to any other people that I'm going to see.
Mhm.
And I just start crying, just cracking out tears, and just at the thought of causing them some harm did something to me. I was like, no, I got to make sure I'm good, so that when I go see them, I'm not bringing them anything extra.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, it's never give it up. You just keep fighting the good fight, and you keep helping people, and you keep living, you keep pushing forward. Like I was talking about my dad, quitting was not an option.
Mm.
It never is for me. And me being a part of an organization like what we have, the encouragement was there. I didn't have to wait until I got sick to get it. I had the encouragement all along. All of my training was encouraging me to do what I needed to do to overcome this obstacle. And I remember Dr. Burns saying something about, he had a saying, and it was just on my mind, and it went right out. But just staying consistent, just continually to do the same thing over and over. There's no reason to deviate.
But Sheila, that's so boring to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's just so boring.
But it depends on what you're doing. I say I meet so many people. I've met the first coroner there in Albany, Georgia. She was the first black female coroner. I met and I met a gentleman just a few weeks ago. His family owns this land that's not too far from where I live called the Promised Land. And meeting him and him sharing that history with me, it was very interesting. Everybody I meet, I never met a boring person. I like to talk, as you can tell. So when I go in and sit with them, we get a conversation going. I might be there an hour or two, but it's never boring to me because it's always something new. Every day is different. You're doing the same thing, but every day brings its own difference to it.
Oh, and that's it. That is it. You're doing the same thing for the consistency, but every day, God gives us an opportunity to take a breath that next day, and it's a brand new day because He's laid out. I think we both can agree that God lays out in advance what that path is going to look like. We've just got to walk in it because we don't know what's going to happen, but God already knows. He already knows.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He knows. And if we listen, he tells us.
Right. Right.
He just lays it out. Do this is what you do, and I don't know another way to live, and I don't want to live another way. I want to be able to help bless other people. I want to continue to grow. And there's no other way to do that without the consistency and continually to move forward and continuing to help people, continuing to fight this fight. Yeah.
And you're wearing a shirt that now of course folks who are listening, they're not going to be able to see it, but it has the word motivated on there. Now, with the health challenge that you had, it's been about 2 years ago, Sheila?
Yes, it's been
Yeah.
2 years.
About so tell us um just briefly what happened and how that I mean you've always been motivated, but obviously that took a turn in your life. Yeah, I would imagine your perspective, and
Yes,
but it has part of the reason for this butterflies in flight is that we're all butterflies and we've gone through the different metamorphoses and the changes and all of that, but yet we're still here. You're still persevering, you're still excelling in the insurance industry. I want our listeners to be encouraged by something that you say, because you're a live living person who has done it and who is
yes,
doing it.
yes, yes, yes. It has been, it's been a challenge, but not a challenge that I couldn't face.
Right.
And again, the setup in our organization from the very beginning allowed me to have what I needed when I needed it, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I didn't need to, I started off, um, you know, thinking I don't have high blood pressure. I can't have high blood pressure. Who, me? Uh-uh. So I kept going. I had the little signs, but I kept going
Hmm.
and going and going and going until finally it started affecting my vision. And
Mm.
that's when I knew I had to do something to see what was going on.
Right.
So after I did that, got in with the doctors, they started toying with the blood pressure medication they had me on.
Okay.
And that went on for a while. And so toward the end of that, it caused me to have a stroke because of the different medications they kept swapping out.
Oh.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like I said, when I got to the hospital and got in that bed, quitting was never on my mind. I've been trained to fight. I've been trained to persevere. And so, and all I could hear Dr. Burns say, compartmentalize.
Mm.
And that's what I did. Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
I did that with my father.
Hmm.
I did that, with this health challenge. It's
Yes.
the compartment. I'm not dead. I never lost my voice.
Okay.
God was with me the whole time. Because I had went to one hospital and they said, we don't see anything. Okay, I'm going home. I can go lay in my bed.
Mm.
So before midnight, I had to go to another hospital.
Mm.
But thank God, every day is getting better. Um, I just keep getting up, doing what I got to do, trusting God every step of the way because He keeps getting me up. And I didn't know anything else to do, Helen, but to just keep going. I've been trained to keep going,
Right.
not to sit on the sidelines and cry, woe is me. Why did I have this stroke? I don't have time for that.
Right. Now, Sheila, you have some grands that are like your heart and soul. How have do they play a role in keeping you motivated and keeping you going and pressing? Let's talk
They
about that.
do. Yeah, they're tremendous. They've been by my side, all five of them. They've been by my side. One is this. She handles all the um, appointments and making sure that I get to those on
Mhm.
time. And Grandma, okay, we got to do these exercises. Okay, come on, let's go down the steps. I have steps. I have 12 steps leading from my upstairs to my downstairs.
Okay.
Another 12 outside.
Oh.
And the way that they taught me to go in and out was backwards.
Ah.
I have to go down the steps backwards.
Okay.
And so at first it was a little, like, okay, I'm going down backwards. This is not the normal way. But my granddaughters would be right there.
Yeah.
One would be at the top of the stairs and the other would be at the bottom. So they would make sure that I'm okay. Then they got into what I'm eating. Okay, Grandma, we got to get you back on a healthy diet. So they start preparing meals. They have been, but I, they say I gave them so much when they were little.
Ah.
that they just can't imagine not giving it back to me.
Mm.
My 8-year-old, she's always doing something. Grandma, if I move my hand, she comes and hugs me. Grandma, you moving your hand. I'm so proud of you. And it's so they're giving me back what I've given them over the years.
Oh,
But it's been, yeah, they've been my motivators.
oh, that is amazing. And so the importance of family, the importance of staying motivated, the importance of compartmentalizing, all of those are what we would call strategies that a person can use to stay in the game, to not give
Yes.
up, because like you said several times, giving up is not an option. And but so
Right.
many people are in a feeling of despair and depression. Last month of May was mental health awareness, and so I did a series, every week dealing with that topic. But there's still, Sheila, so many people out there that the light just doesn't click for them to keep pressing. So what would you say to that person? What would you say to that person who just feels like they want to give up after everything that you've gone through? And you're a live and living person, and I believe you're someone that a person can be able to resonate with
Yes.
everything you've gone through.
Right. I say trust God.
Mm.
Because without that, Helen, none of this would work for me. I mean, I don't know what else to do. Whenever adversities come or whenever challenges have come in my life, I lean to Him. Even coming into the insurance industry, I prayed about it. I got my answer. It didn't take me several days or several weeks. I got my answer in about an hour.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, Lord. And I remember telling one of the partners, if this ain't what God got for me, I don't know. And I held my hands out. And I remember it very well. I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. And He's going to help me through this. And He has. He really has. I mean, I would say trust God, even in the moments of despair.
Yes.
Even when you feel like you've hit the bottom, you can trust Him. And He will bring you through. I'm a living witness. He'll bring you through. But you got to trust Him. You got to try. And then He doesn't require that we do the whole work. If we try a little bit, He meets us. He meets us. And then you got to get hooked up with a team of people who encourage you.
Yeah.
That's what consolidated planning has become for me. It was I didn't have to look for encouragement
Mm.
because it was right there.
Yeah.
In everything that we do, it's right there. The encouragement. And if I take that, or if we take that and move forward with it, you got to get better. If you're already at the bottom, ain't nowhere to go but up. You know. But I just trust him, Miss Helen. I can't do nothing else but trust him. I'm not a holy, 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 holy person.
Mhm.
I just trust God. I love Him. He loves me, and He's keeping me. He's been keeping me, and I would just tell him to trust Him. Just try to trust Him
Yeah.
a little bit at a time. Doesn't require a whole lot, and then He will bring you through the rest.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. So Sheila, as we wrap up this wonderful interview, is there anything that you would like to be able to say to anybody in our community, in our my listening audience, my viewing audience? Is there anything that you would like to be able to share with them, just to because when we think about the name of the podcast, Reset to Reinvent, okay, that was by design, Reset to Reinvent. And then, of
Yeah.
course, this series, Butterflies in Flight. So, what parting words would you like to be able to share to encourage, to motivate, or whatever's on your heart. I would love for you to share with us.
Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to try, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to try. Even if you're scared, don't try. I used to tell people the first time I knocked on my neighbor's door, Miss Helen, and I'm shaking like a stripper. I mean, shaking all over. But I'm like, I've got to knock on this door. And I knocked on the door. They weren't even home. So I was going through all them emotions, at the door. Then went down the steps, came back up, and was just nervous about it. But then I said, you know what? I got to get this over with. I've got to get these heebie-jeebies out of me. So when I knocked on that door, I was fine after that. Just one door. All I had to do. So my encouraging words would be, don't be afraid to try. This is like my third leg of my life. Or maybe the fourth, I don't know. Where, you know, because I refuse to give up. And I know that there's more. And I just want to tell people, trust him. Trust them more. Reach out. Just do a little bit. Just try a little bit. And then it'll increase. But yeah, we just have to try, Miss Helen. We can't just lay down. Because if we lay down and quit, then what?
Right.
So we have to keep trying. And I'm excited. I don't know what the next chapter holds for me,
Mm.
but I am excited about it. I'm walking better every day. God is keeping me. I'm excited. So I want everybody to be encouraged. Just really be encouraged. You can do it. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. But try it first. Just try.
Sheila, I want to thank you so much for joining me. This has just been amazing. You're just a special. You're my shiro. I just love you, and you keep me motivated and inspired and encouraged on you. But on days when I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I think about you, and then your soft, always consistent spirit, and I think that's really important for people to be able to see a consistency of spirit, not the ups and downs, even when you were down. We never heard that from you. And that's very encouraging. It really is. So you are definitely one of my butterflies in flight. And
Thank
again,
you. Yes.
oh, yes. I want to thank you again so much. And so, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we've got one more young lady, another superstar, another butterfly in effect, who's going to join us in the second half of today's show. Once again, Sheila, thanks so much. Love you, girlfriend.
Thank you. Love you too, darling. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by Consolidated Planning of America. We help people with insurance.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the second half of Reset to Reinvent podcast. I'm your host, Helen Blocker Adams. And I tell you what, I hope that you had just as much fun as I did with the interview that I just had with Sheila Woods. She is just an amazing woman. She's one of my heroes. And one of the things, before I introduce this butterfly in flight for our second half of this episode 13, by the way, as we celebrate women who have gone through things, who have persevered, who have experienced different scenarios of disappointments and transition and just life, as Sheila used the term, life be lifing sometimes. But she used the term compartmentalized a couple of times in that interview. And when after her stroke, she said that that was something that she had to do, or else she wouldn't have been able to move further. She had to realize, okay, this part of my life life, is a little different. She talked about how she had to learn how to walk again. She had to learn how to, and her granddaughters showed her how to walk backwards down the steps so that they can be, one was in front and one was in the back. But she never gave up. And that was her message at the very end, was that don't give up with all the sense of despair that we have going on. Not just women, men too, but in particular, this podcast is about women for women. And this butterfly that I want to introduce to you now, Mrs. Penny Shorter. She's in the Kentucky area. One of the things that I mentioned was everybody that we've interviewed, they're in different places. Okay. Excuse me. But what I want you to know is that this woman right here, I've known her since, even though she had to remind me, known her since 2005, at least 2005. Now, it was 2017, 2018, more 2018, 2019 when we met or re-met and became friends and besties. And she is just, I lean on her a lot. We lean on each other. She's my friend, business partner, and I just love her, love her, love her. Welcome, Penny, to Reset to Reinvent podcast.
Thank you, Helen. I'm glad to be here, Helen. Excited.
You are one of, hold on. You are one of my butterflies in flight. And one of the things that we were talking about before we got started, and this is what I had encouraged each of my guests to listen to the first episode, okay? Because there's 5 Mondays in the month of June. So I felt like I needed to set the tone for what people were going to expect in the month of June, and the idea of being able to highlight women that I know, because I know that there are people that need to hear what the 8 individuals that I selected needed to hear, because they're a lot of people are going through stuff. And so the very first episode you were sharing with me, Penny, how you listened to it. First of all, you thought that you had listened to it, but it was just like the clip. And then, so what made you decide, you know what, did I hear the whole show? What made you go there?
I was just going back through, went back to the podcast, to just listen to, to some of the others. And then I saw that one just popped up. I said, wait a minute, where did this one come from? I didn't see that one. I said, oh, this is what Helen was talking about when she said, had you listened to the podcast all the way? Like, I had not. But I tell you what, it stirred my soul. It made me, this is so important. This is so, what you have, I'm telling you, this is so important. Butterflies. Oh my gosh. It just, been there, in that cocoon, and got the story t-shirt to tell it. Let's go.
And so let's start with the name Butterflies in Flight.
Butterflies in Flight.
That is the name of this series. And what does that mean to you when you saw the name? And then, of course, obviously, after you heard the first episode and how I broke it down, the evolution, the 4 stages of the life of a butterfly. Talk to us, Penny. What is it? What does that mean to you, and how does that resonate with you?
So when I heard the podcast, I thought about, you went from, I didn't know all that about the butterfly to begin with. I didn't know all that. I didn't know it couldn't, the wings, it couldn't come out and just take off and fly, And then when you start talking about busting out of this cocoon, and then they only live but so long. I'm like, wait a minute, this is incredible. So I saw myself in so many ways as that little caterpillar, crawling through everything, and then obstacles getting in the way, getting stuck in the cocoon, and then coming out. And then you go through these changes, these seasons, these changes and changes until you finally, you finally catch hold of what, the real thing.
And so how do we do that? When based on your experiences, and everybody has a different experiences, but one of the things that I really like to, I'm gonna share the theme of Reset to Reinvent empowers women to rebuild and thrive
Right.
after life's toughest challenges by providing inspiration, guidance, and actionable strategies for resilience. And
Right.
so a lot of times a person just needs, sometimes it's ABC, 1, 2, 3. How do we do it? And sometimes it's not as simple as that, but sometimes a person just needs just a little nudge, some type of actionable strategy to get them, how do we do it? How did you do it? This metamorphosis, the changes in life. How do you do it? How do you function? How
You
do
know,
you operate?
Ashley, the truth, I didn't even know I was going through that. I really did.
Wow.
I didn't even know I was going through that because it starts young, early on, I started daycare in my home.
Okay.
Started
Oh,
daycare in my home. Before I got to Montessori school, I started daycare.
okay.
And with the daycare in my home, the HOA didn't want me to do it. They said I couldn't do it only because I had incorporated my business. So they made the assumption that I was going to run a corporation from my home, but I was just preparing. I didn't know I was going to go out into a brick and mortar and get a Montessori school at the time.
Mm.
So all while I was working with I only have 6 children. They said that it was going to be a traffic problem. It
Mm.
was 6 kids, okay?
Right.
And so they told me I couldn't do it. Well, the state says I can. Lock me up. Okay. So anyway, so while I was running that daycare from home, and I mean, I had 6 kids, you only have 6 kids at one time in your house. So I had a rotating schedule. I had after schoolers, I had early mornings, I had, I had kids coming and going. And it was exciting because I was able to teach. That's what I always wanted to do, teach little kids. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, what happened while I was going through that process, I started working on my business plan and getting my own business. And I was like, it was growing so fast. I got to get out of the house. I'm going to
Mm.
get in trouble. I got to get out of the house. So anyway, I started working on my business plan. I took up with University of Georgia Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
Okay. So they helped me. They taught me so much about writing a business plan, doing the demographics, the forecasting, everything. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna look for a daycare center. And
Yeah.
I fell upon a Montessori school. Now,
Uh-huh.
Helen, this is so incredible. The owner of that Montessori school said to me, we don't want just anybody to take over our school. We want someone to come in that's going, number one, hold up the name Montessori.
Mm.
And number two, love the children.
Mm.
And so they were actually interviewing buyers.
Mm.
So they told me they offered me to buy their school. Okay. It was
Wow.
turnkey. And so, but anyway, even at that, I mean, I had obstacles through that because I had to get a loan, SBA loan. I
Yeah.
think I told you about that.
Yeah.
15, I did my own business plan and I submitted 15 applications with that business plan to different banks.
Mm.
My own local city, none of the banks in my city would give me the loan.
Wow.
So finally got somebody from Tennessee came in. And then it was God just working the whole time because when the person came in from Tennessee, he didn't just get me the loan or, get the loan off for me. He actually mentored me in how to run my business.
Mm.
You need to have an attorney. You need to have a CPA and you need, get these in place because that's what's going to keep you on track. It's
Ah.
amazing. I didn't see this. I really didn't see all this. And then I stumbled into insurance. Well, the Montessori school had to go because another obstacle. They widened the road, the Riverwatch in Augusta. Remember, they were
Yes.
widening the road. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that when I bought the school that they were in the process.
Right.
So finally, I wrote it out as long as I could, and I was the last person to give in. But
Mm.
because my attorney said, if you don't let it go now, you're not going to get anything. They're going to take it, eminent domain. So anyway, that's why I retired early from the Montessori school and decided not to open another, just to do something different, right?
Let's talk real quick so that a lot of people may not know what Montessori means. The because the owners of that, they wanted to make sure that you maintain the Montessori. So what does that mean? What tell us what that standard what that means, Montessori.
Well, actually, Montessori is it's a curriculum.
Oh.
It's a curriculum. It has nothing to do with religion. It's a curriculum. A lot of people, I know one guy called one time, he said, "What's going on at the monastery?" It's a monastery. I know, no, this is a Montessori school. So it's not, it has no, I mean, you bring your faith into it, but it has nothing to do with religion.
Ah.
It teaches what the main thing is, the principles that it teach, the concept helps children children with challenges. It helps them to learn faster or learn better. You know, for example,
Okay.
I had kids with Down syndrome. The mayor of Augusta at that time had his son in my school. You know,
Ah. Yeah.
can I call names? No.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Okay, you know, Sconyers, Mr. Sconyers.
Yes.
He brought his
Yes.
son had Down syndrome. He stayed with me as long as he could. But the point is, we offered love.
Yeah.
And everything's hands-on love. It's like walking out of your home back into another home. It's not set up like an ordinary classroom.
And so, how has that, and obviously, anybody listening or watching can tell that you love that. I mean, that was just, I mean, you just light up. So working with uh, challenged young people in that type of a setting, how has that helped you moving forward in your life now as an insurance agent? Do you find some of those skills are transferable? How what's the correlation there?
Well, actually, now I'm just working with older people. Instead of kids, I'm working with older people. But then, you know, it's just, you learn how to handle situations, okay?
Mm,
You just learn how to move. Know that it's just not the end. It's just a
mm.
stepping stone. And that's what happened when I got introduced to the life insurance. I was taking care of my mother-in-law.
Okay.
I had no idea about life insurance until I was started taking care of my mother-in-law, and she needed long-term care. And I'm like, what is long-term care? And so you didn't know that.
Uh,
I didn't know you didn't know that. But anyway, yeah, she needed long-term care. So I said, well, here I am in my 50s. I need some long-term care too. Okay. So when I called to get the long-term care, found out how much it was. Okay, entrepreneurial spirit kicks in. Well, how
all
much are
right.
you making on a $300 a month premium? And that's how the lady in Atlanta got me into insurance.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
And so one of the things when we think about the life insurance, most people don't just wake up one morning, or even one of their dreams growing up. Oh, I want to be a life insurance agent. So you kind of bumped into it,
Right into it.
um, but the bump was the entrepreneurial spirit that you already had,
Right.
and then they both kind of collided, and
Mhm.
here you are these years later in final expense and Medicare and all of the other aspects of insurance. So for someone listening, what three reasons would someone consider based on your experiences of becoming, what three reasons would you say this would be a good opportunity for you to pursue a career in life insurance?
Well, first of all, if you sitting back and you saying, I want to be my own boss, I want to do my own thing. I don't like I can do it better than my manager. You know, you're going through that, you're ready to go on. You're ready to move on. So that would be one thing that I would say. Another thing would be, if you don't want your money capped, you won't, you want to make as much money as you can,
Yeah.
over the top. And then if you really, really in your heart, really and truly want to do something that's right, ethical, and earn decent money, this is the route to go. You're helping people and you're making money for yourself too. You're earning more money. You're not stuck on a job or just over broke.
And so that person who is listening or watching and they're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, let me give it a shot. How does the when we think about consolidated planning of America and the camaraderie, the mentoring and the coaching we get, how important is that? Because the insurance industry can be kind of a lonely place if you're out there trying to figure it out by yourself. So
Exactly.
how important is it for someone to, at least if they're going to consider, how important is it for them to choose an agency and a culture of people to help them have success? How important is that?
That take me to this point. I have to say this, Helen. Have to say this.
Okay.
If you had not come along, I would not be where I am, because
Oh
you
my God.
introduced me to consolidated planning and Dr.
Yeah.
Burns.
Yeah.
And it was you that I could follow. You mentored me, you shaped me, you helped me along the way. And that's so important because, like you said, other insurance industry, other companies you get with other carriers, they don't have a system in place. They
Yeah.
just throw you in there and you just have to go with, just roll with the punches. But here we have a culture, we have mentors, we have coaches, and you the best of the best. Okay.
Oh.
You helped develop me alone. Dr. Burns put the system in place, but it was you.
Oh.
In 3 years, from when I started with consolidated planning, it only took 3 years to go into 6 figures. You
Yeah.
think about that.
Isn't that something?
You think about that. And then on top of that, in 2021, I got COVID.
Yes.
I had COVID in the hospital, 45 days, including rehab.
I think somebody may have missed that. Somebody, repeat that. Repeat that. Somebody sitting in the back row, as Dr. Burns like to say, missed that. Because this is important when we think about adversity, and when we think about butterflies in effect, when we think about resetting to reinvent. She had to reset her body.
Completely.
Repeat that. And let's talk about that for a few minutes, Penny.
I spent 45 days in the hospital, to include rehab, overcoming COVID. Helen, I went in with oxygen, 2 a.m. in the morning. The ambulance picked me up and immediately put oxygen on me. And from there, I didn't remember anything until maybe a couple of days later, when I finally got back to realization. But
Right.
they told me, we didn't think you were going to make it. So I
Mm.
was one step away from the ventilator. One step away. So, and I said, you think about people going to the hospital, they stay long periods of time, but I'm in the bed. I'm not walking.
Right.
And I can't eat. With COVID, everything smelled bad.
Yeah.
Everything tastes bad.
Yeah.
So when I left the hospital and went to rehab, I still was in a wheelchair. I still was on oxygen. I went home with oxygen. And Matthew, my husband, had to take care of me. I couldn't bathe myself. And you talking about in that dark place, you're thinking, well, what is going on? And the worst thing came to my mind was I was going to die.
Yeah.
Because my mom died at age 65. And I was 65 when I got COVID and was in the hospital for so long and was about to die. So,
And so many other people had died and was dying during that
they
time.
were rolling them out, and I was in the hospital. And they were rolling them out beside, right outside my door.
Jeez.
I could see them. And the other thing too, it was devastating, because even though you have the hospital staff there, and they had traveling nurses and all kinds of people there to help you, they didn't have enough. So you're talking about faith kicking in. There are days, you cried, you prayed, and you just, you just went through some stuff. And mentally, it was mentally exhausting. It was very, very, very disturbing. And I have to give kudos to one more person, and that's Pastor Kennedy, because she taught me the word. She got me in my Bible, and she helped me to understand. I went to seminary because of her. So that part, I'm saying all these seeds were planted all along the way.
Yeah.
To get me to where I am today.
Right. Which allows you, especially in the insurance industry, to strengthen the sense of empathy. The fact that you can, for a fact, talk about experiences that you had that's authentic. And people do need to be able to relate to someone that they trust. How can you not sit back and listen to your story and say, oh my gosh, but look at her now.
And Helen, I lost weight, I lost my hair.
Yeah.
I lost my hair. That's why I'm letting it grow out. Okay.
Yeah.
I lost my hair.
And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can see how beautiful and fluffy her hair is. As a matter of fact, I kind of teased her about how she looks so much better than me.
But yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, Helen.
Penny. I really am. And so Penny is one of these, she's a behind the scenes kind of gal, and being on now, of course, she knew when I invited her that she couldn't tell me no. Okay. That wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to accept that. Now,
Right.
did we have to talk? Did we have to talk several times to make sure that, she feels comfortable?
Comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been talking for the past 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Yeah.
But I can tell you that this lady right here, she's amazing, and she is definitely a butterfly in flight. So you have gone actually you had several seasons of the metamorphosis and coming out of the cocoon with the situation with the Montessori school, and then fast forward to the whole COVID, and so that butterfly, yep, you were back in the cocoon, and then really now keep in mind, for our family out there listening and watching, she said she was in the hospital and rehab for 45 days, but it's taken several years for you to get to where you are. And you still have some side effects from COVID. Is that right, Penny?
Yeah. Short-term, memory.
Short-term memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so with those challenges, you're still standing. You're still thriving in the insurance industry. How have you been able to do that?
The culture, the people there, surrounding you with love and helping you, the mentorship with the, consolidated planning. And then most of all, just trusting God, holding on to your faith and believing in yourself. And I have to say again, Helen, you helped me along the way with that, because you said, this is bigger than, when I wanted to quit, you said, Penny, this is bigger than you.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do.
So
I do.
Those is that encouragement, those things. And you said, like, I'm behind the scenes person. And another dear friend of mine said, you're not really behind the scene. You just don't want to come out and show your skills. You just don't want to come out in front of people, but you do want to do it. You know who told me that? Bonnie Dupree.
Oh my goodness. How about that?
So, and she's another, manager with us. And I tell you, it's just having people who are going to tell you the real thing, the real truth,
Right.
And being able to, you don't even have to go to college. You don't have to have a college degree, any type of degree, to work in insurance.
Right.
And you're planting seeds. Just think about the young people. I think about those young, my grandkids. I think about how they're going through school to be an engineer or forensic scientist, all this stuff, But wait till they realize that they are entrepreneurs. We were meant to create.
I like that. We were meant to create,
Think about it.
and we were meant to create, and we were meant to serve. And both of those go hand in hand when you think about the insurance industry and being an insurance agent, because that's what we do. We create and we serve the people.
I had to learn how to give myself permission to thrive. And this is after COVID. I had learned how to give myself permission to come out. Because this is, but it took that step.
So tell us, how did you? So someone listening and watching, they're like, what do you mean? I had to push myself. I had to learn how to do this. I had to give myself permission. What does that look like? What do you mean by that?
That thing in your head that keeps telling you you can't do this, you're not worthy. Why you fail, and why you keep why you keep doing the same old thing over again? Why do you keep going back to do this? Go get a job, make some real money. All that that's just the enemy keeping you away from your destiny. This is what we're supposed to be doing, Helen. We're not supposed to be working for other people. We are to own our own. I mean, it's all, read the Book of Solomon. It's all in the Book of Solomon. They own businesses in the Bible.
Yeah.
They were millionaires. They were rich, richer than rich.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is no joke. I don't take this for granted. I don't take this position for granted, being in the insurance industry.
Yes.
Number one, you never have to be without money.
Yeah.
And number two, you can write your own paycheck, literally write your own paycheck.
Yeah.
And then, the residual income. All that time I was bedridden, that year and a half trying to get myself back together, I was getting paid. I got a paycheck every day.
Isn't that something?
Every single day.
Mm.
So the insurance business, people are missing it. Especially young moms, single moms. You want to spend time with your children. You want to be, work from home. Just be disciplined and follow a system. That's all it takes. Be disciplined and follow the system. And don't keep talking to yourself unless you're going to tell you something positive,
That's right. That's right. Stop talking to yourself and stop listening to yourself. And I tell you what, folks, you have heard some good stuff with Penny Shorter on this episode of episode 13. So as any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom that you can be able to share with my family, with my Reset to Reinvent family. Penny Shorter is one of our butterflies in flight. So what parting words would you like to share with our family?
I would say no matter where you are right now in your life, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're going through, you can do this. Just take one step. Join with a group of people. Get some mentors that been through this stuff. Get some coaching. Get with some people that been through the fire, because they can tell you how not to get burned. And they can lead you the way. It's just, you have to just get out of your head. Just don't despise the process. There is a process. Just like the caterpillar to the butterfly, there's a process.
Yeah.
Even there's a process. A seed planted in the soil, there's a process. So that's why the system with consolidated planning is so vital for us. That's why we're thriving, because we're following a system and not listening to those negative thoughts in our heads.
Now, wouldn't you agree? And I know I said parting words, but everything that you just said, wouldn't that also apply to life and whatever that person is going through?
Person's going through.
Yeah.
You got to remember, you have to remember that our words, what we say,
Mm-hmm.
creates something, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
positive or negative. So if you
Wow.
tell yourself, I'm not worthy, I can't do it, you prophesying.
Wow.
So, and Helen, I have a surprise for you. I hadn't told you this.
Okay. All right.
I have a book coming out.
Oh my gosh. No. And she is announcing this on episode 13 of Reset to Reinvent. I feel so special and honored. And you've been holding out on me.
I will not tell the title, but it is
Okay.
a 21-day interactive journal.
Ah, wow.
21 days
I love it.
change your life. Like
I
with your
love it.
words, with your words.
Oh, I love it.
It's
And
interactive. You're able to write in there.
oh, I love it. And so we'll have to talk offline about you being adding it to my
Uh,
reinvent store. Yeah, being able to add it there. So
oh
it could be
yeah,
another way for you to be able to sell it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I
Very
tell you
excited.
what, guys,
You
you
go.
have this finishes up episode 13. And Penny, I want to thank you so much. You were just amazing. And I know that our listening audience and our viewers, they're going to listen to this episode over and over and over and over again, because I wanted to help empower and change lives. So I want to thank you again for joining me,
My
Penny.
pleasure. All the time, anytime, Helen. You know.
All right. All right. So I want to thank you, family, for for being a part of today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast. Next week, we're going to have 4 more dynamic women, actually 2 for the rest of this month. There's going to be 2 each time. I want you to subscribe to our podcast. I want you to download. I want you to like it. I want you to share it. And the folks, when you subscribe to on any of your favorite podcast platforms, what that does is allow you to not have to try to search for me every Monday. You're going to get the ping from whatever platform you're using when you do subscribe. Share it, and visit our website. Go to our website, resettoreinvent.com. Go to our Reinvent store where you can order. I've got the ebook on leadership. I've got career opportunities in the insurance industry. And who knows, we may have another book that we can add there from my girl, Penny Shorter. So there's just going to be so much that we can be able to offer to help change lives, to empower, because we got to remember the theme for Reset to Reinvent is to empower women to rebuild and thrive after life's toughest challenges through inspiration, guidance, and actionable strategies for resilience. And what you have seen and heard in this episode is real life women who have been resilient, and they're still standing and thriving in the insurance industry. And so we're going to see you next time. And once again, thank you so much, Penny, for joining us and wrapping up this episode of Reset to
Thank
Reinvent.
you.
And we're going to see you next time. Why? Because you deserve to be inspired. Peace.
Thank you, Miss Helen.
Reset to Reinvent podcast. We are living in uncertain times. Job security is becoming more elusive. People are losing their jobs. Companies are closing. But wait, have you ever considered a career as an insurance agent? Just a thought. Our much talked about ebook, 8 Reasons to Become a Life Insurance Agent, can help you decide if it's for you or not. Order your copy today. Visit our website, Reset to Reinvent, and click on the Reinvent store. Who knows? It may be the best decision you've made in a long time.